Chief, what in your opinion is the purpose of the Honor Guard?
I guess ultimately it's, we're a body of people who represent everything about the Calgary Fire Department, whether it's the chief at some functions, right the way through to the frontline members of the organization who are out there every day serving the customer and often putting their lives in harm's way. So I think it's very much a representative role.
Why did you join the Honor Guard?
That's a really good question. It was back very soon after I joined the job in 1992. In fact, within a few months of that, we lost Morley James, and I remember talking with some of the members of the Honor Guard at that time at the funeral, and they were very encouraging to the fact that, given I had a bit of a fire service background prior to being with Calgary, that it's maybe something I should think of in terms of joining the Guard. So that was really the time where the first kind of contact I made with the Guard was very early in my career, just a few months into my career in effect, and that was the start of it, I guess. Within a year or so, as I recall, I was a member of the Guard.
How has participation in the Honor Guard affected you?
There's lots of, that's a really good question. I mean, there's a broad range of emotions you experience as a member of the Honor Guard. I mean, there's the taking part in the Stampede Parade. I remember being part of the Guard through the World Police and Fire Games, in the 1990s. So some really neat events, opening ceremonies at significant conferences in the city of Calgary, those kinds of things. And then, of course, there's the more somber events, the funerals, the memorials, those kinds of events that we do that take you to the other end of the emotional scale, I guess. So the joy and happiness you see walking the parade route, which was always one of my favorite experiences with the Guard. Being very close to the community and at a pretty happy time and a pretty significant time for the city, right through to the most desperate times in people's lives when they've lost a loved one. Particularly when those haven't been the losses that have come at the end of life. They've come with younger members of the department. So the whole broad range of emotions, I'd have to say. But through all of that, I think there has probably been a string of satisfaction in doing that, whether it's a difficult function that you're at through to the happiest functions that you're at. It's a pretty satisfying feeling, or it always has been for me, in terms of feeling that we're making a difference.
Can you tell me about a specific event or ceremony that holds special meaning for you?
Yeah, I thought about this question a lot, and I don't know that I could even single one out. I mean, certainly some of the events during the World Police Fire Games were pretty cool. I remember one that comes to mind there is we did an event at Spruce Meadows, and I believe it was the opening ceremonies, but I could be wrong. It could have been the closing ceremonies. But as I recall, Chief Morris and the Chief of Police at that time, who I'm not sure who it was. They came in on the police helicopter, and so pretty spectacular setting as it is, Spruce Meadows, and pretty exciting time for the fire department in the city, and pretty neat event to be a part of. But when I think about certainly the majority of what I've done with the Guard has been the funerals and celebrations of life, memorials, whatever you want to call those services to recognize the end of people's lives. And I don't know there's any that would really jump out at me, but they're all very, very special. I always felt very honored and continue to, in my new role, working with the Honor Guard at those same ceremonies. I've always felt tremendously honored and privileged to be part of this, to be part of the ceremony where we're saying farewell to a member, often a retired member, to their family, trying to make it a very special and appropriate occasion for them. And not many people get to do that stuff. And I think it's very evident from the families, their comments, and often you get a card afterwards saying thank you to the Honor Guard, thank you to the administration, to the pipe band, and all the others who've been involved in those ceremonies. It's pretty evident it's very meaningful to them, and there are so many of the families that I've dealt with. They're just amazed at the effort we put into those services collectively, right? From having the fire truck out at the front to the honor guard involvement to the piper to the chief being there, those kinds of things. And lots of people realize that there's not that many workplaces now where you're remembered after you retire to that degree, where there's that kind of presence at the end of your life. So just as we're there at the beginning of your fire service career, graduation, we're also there at the end of your life, if that's the will of the family, of course.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, or?
No, there's another one. I mean, I just in the last question, I talked a bit about graduation. There's another one of those events which is tremendously a happy event, right? And it's fun being part of those to balance out the emotional span, I guess, of the activities of what we do. I guess the other part is, it's a pretty, particularly when you're new to the honor guard. Pretty nerve-wracking thing at times to think, what are the commands? What am I doing? And of course, we've always trained. I think as through the years, we've got better at doing more training. But there's a lot of pressure on, the members of the honor guard to get it right in front of an audience. There's no second chance. Whether you're doing the cap and flag ceremony at a funeral, whether you're doing a graduation. Those kinds of things. It's a one-shot deal. Whether it's the memorial at Tribute Plaza, whether it's one of the memorials that we've traveled for in the past, and I've been so lucky to travel to Ottawa to be part of the Canadian Fallen Firefighters Memorial, and then to the International Association of Firefighters Memorial in Colorado Springs. Again, a tremendous honor. So I can't say enough about how I've been blessed to have had this opportunity to be a member of the Guard. And what an honor and privilege that has been to represent, the men and women of the Calgary Fire Department, and to a degree the city of Calgary. So it's just been tremendous. And I still get to do the odd one when it works. Now I'm often on the other side of the equation, so it doesn't always work. But I still try and make myself available when I can to do this, because my plan certainly was to do this until I retire, and maybe even beyond, and that hasn't changed. I just don't get to be as available as I'd like to be right now. So often because I'm at the same ceremony in a different role, but that's life.